Hello, you guys. How are you guys? Thank you for being here. I hope this sound is okay. Let me know if it is not. I have these not the best earbuds in because my other, I don't know, I'm having issues with all of my headphones. And so, hey, Nady. Hey, Mel Mel. Hey, Punksy, Jane Doe, Rena, Trippy Dead. Awesome. Glad it sounds good. Hey, Luanna, Jody, Unique Trauma, Miss Linda, Cool Gamer. I'm so happy you guys are here. We are just going to hang out and do a laid back thing. So this is really cool. On Twitter, they now have it's called your space, and so it's like a podcast on Twitter, and Brian Entin did like a really long interview with Jennifer Coffindaffer, so I thought we could hang out, listen to that, just talk, and I can you can minimize it in the screen and also scroll through Twitter, so I can do that as well as we're listening, and just hang out, kind of a Saturday night. You didn't take enough leftovers, Cray Cray. I was just saying earlier, man, I want some more pasta salad and we're out. Hey, Tisha. So, yeah. Let's see. You guys, did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? And are you guys having a good night? I'm outside. I've got this coffee. I've got 2 hoodies on, really thick hoodies. The lighting is awful, but I'll show you guys. It looks like I look super pale. Well, especially if I get close, but I've got this furry hoodie, this hoodie over my clothes, and then I have a jacket here, 2 pairs of pants, because I don't like streaming inside. I like to be outside. I want to smoke. I just like to be outside. Hey, Nikki. I'm eating coffee chocolate chip gelato. I've actually never had gelato ever. Hey, light and darkness. Thank you, Jane Doe. Okay, so let me show you guys what I'm talking about with the Twitter Spaces or whatever. So see, join me in my space. He's the host. And let me show you guys. We're going to press play. And you're going to see other Twitter see, look, tune into live audio conversations, Twitter Spaces for the web. 13,000 people tuned in. It actually was 6 when I watched it earlier. I listened to it earlier, but I was almost falling asleep. So I probably missed a lot. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, let me close that. It didn't start until it actually,
from other cases have had big
see how
have had a big impact in solving other cases. So everybody sort of has an important role.
Oh my God,
Jennifer and
Mouse,
Paige,
stop
are you guys
it.
there?
See how these are other Twitter users that they come in their Twitter accounts. It's pretty cool. And I believe that we can listen and close it down here and do other stuff. So yeah, let me see. I think they started about 6 minutes.
Cheesecake coming up, but it's my surprise.
Tell me if you guys can hear that.
A weekend after Thanksgiving event, the cheesecake.
Well, I'm doing that Sunday as a special surprise. So
Hey, Angie. Hey,
it's got
Danny. Yes, it is.
5
Hey, Seth.
things of Philly cheese in it, 8 eggs. It takes me about 5 hours to make. It's ridiculous, but it's so good.
Awesome.
Well, I'm glad
Isn't
we're
this
doing
cool?
Spaces today, so you'll have time.
Yes, yes,
Okay, well, let's jump into it.
yes.
I'll start with you, Jennifer, and we've got a ton of questions, and I'm going to go back through the thread from yesterday when I first posted about this and try
And
to
it
get a bunch
has
of
the
questions in.
closed
But I
captioning.
guess the first question I have,
What?
Jennifer, is we're almost 2 weeks out now. There's not a lot of official information from police. Do you think they know a lot more than they're letting on, or do you get the feeling that this is really almost like a cold case at this point?
I think they have a lot of information and they have so much more to go through. I saw on there somebody asked for a percentage of what was probably returned, and I think it's a very low percentage, both in terms of.
So those of you who don't know, let me say, I do have it in the title and stuff, but Jennifer Coffindaffer is retired FBI. She does a lot of TV interviews with news. She's like, I think she does a show with News Nation. She's also friends with Duty Ron. She's come on his channel a few times, but she is really brilliant and knows what she's talking about as far as procedure, just everything. I mean, she's retired FBI, so she knows exactly.
Returns. I think the laboratory information is extremely small in terms of returns forensically. I think the forensic analysis of telephones and the cell tower information, all of that is probably really almost at its infancy, even though it's going to have an emergency
I don't think it'll go up anymore.
Request on them. It just takes time. So I think that sadly, because it's not someone in the inner circle, that's the reason why this is taking so long to get a suspect named.
And Jennifer, we just got the new information from police this morning. They're talking now more than 260 digital media submissions. They say 113 pieces of physical evidence that they've collected and sent to the Idaho State Police Crime Lab. That 113, someone asked me that on Twitter today. That number for that type of a scene, is that big? Is that small? Is that what you would expect?
I would expect something in line with that, because you're looking at really, I don't want to say 4 crime scenes. It's such a huge crime scene. You have the bedrooms, maybe only 2, maybe 3 in play. You have the area where the person would have entered. You have that general space. You have the stairwell. Trace evidence can be left anywhere in those.
Find it interesting. She says maybe only 2 bedrooms. So I wanted to read to you guys. Dr. Gabe Willis says, glad the opportunity for a moment of silence was taken to recognize the 4 University of Idaho students ahead of tonight's game. And then the incident of the man that was in that lady's car, the police said that was unfounded. So I think that's kind of interesting. I am going to scroll through while we're listening, and also I'll be in the comments and stuff too. But as I'm scrolling, I can't see the comments. So just remember that.
Formats. And then you have everything outside. You know, how he entered. Was he in that brush area? I posted something on Twitter where I saw agents that appeared to be looking to see what their vantage point would be from the woods, and then I saw another agent on the very peripheral running, and I was wondering if possibly they're timing something and looking at vantage points. So
wow, that's interesting. So it's clicking? I don't know. For me, it sounds okay. Is that for all of you guys? Yeah, she's the one with the long dark hair. So she said, based on the photos, she believes that they are looking at vantage points and possibly timing something. Staticky a little. That sucks. Well, let's just try to, I guess we have to kind of deal with it. I don't know. That really sucks. I guess it's a little staticky. I have earbuds in, so I can hear pretty good.
There is so much evidence that could be strewn for quite a large area. So no, I'm not surprised, Paige.
And you mentioned someone getting in. I mean, I heard one of the family members say that there was a code on the front door, and then we've heard from police that there was no forced entry.
Hey, allegedly.
I mean, what do you think that means? Is it someone? I mean, you mentioned you don't think it's someone on the inner circle, but it seems like it would be someone who knew how to get in without, breaking a window or something.
I think it's going to be somebody comfortable that maybe has even been in their house before at one of these parties. I think to
Okay, good,
have
you
this
guys.
brazen of a move to go into that
Thank
house.
you.
But I believe they probably entered through the sliding glass door, which is on the second story, which was apparently oftentimes left open. And it makes most sense that that is how the person entered.
Now I think we've all kind of talked about this, but you guys, that screen, that window screen on the ground, I don't know, and I agree. The woods is they just happen to be in a spot that is absolutely perfect for some kind of predator to be watching in. Number one, because there's lots of windows and doors and stuff, and you know people have said that you could see in and see the people, but then also to be like right by the woods. Yeah.
When they talk about the
Hey,
people
stay
who
at
were
home
in the
mom.
house, the other roommates being, I don't know if they use the word cleared, but basically saying, that they're not the focus of the investigation right now. I was wondering, like, is when law enforcement says that, can that sometimes be like a tactic, like they are secretly still, possibly a suspect, or does that really mean they don't think that they were involved in terms of like the other roommates?
In this case, I believe law enforcement is absolutely clearing these individuals. I think that they want people to focus in terms of the public's help on this, not to be focused on individuals that they've cleared and they don't feel are responsible. And those are usually cleared this quickly by concrete alibi.
Interesting. Okay, so you think it's legit when they say that?
I really do. I don't think the police are playing games at this point. They are seeking the public's help with not only camera footage, ring camera, but also remember somebody who did this would have returned to.
Wait, so she says when someone is cleared this quickly, it's usually by concrete alibi. And I have to pause there because, I mean, the roommates were there. So that's just a little bit confusing. Hey, chemistry queen. In through the sliding door, up the stairs. Give the dog a treat to stay quiet. The girls' dogs are crying. Back downstairs. Heard Xana and Ethan waking up because of the dog. Yeah. I'm with you, Mel Mel. I think their target was most likely upstairs. And, well, hold on, you guys. Okay, sorry. I know. Thank you, guys. So I watched this FBI. Buddy, not right now. I watched this FBI profiler who said that the fact that there were surviving roommates makes them think that they got to their target and then they stopped. So that's really interesting too. I'm sorry, Miss Linda, it's the only way we can hear it. So try, if you have headphones, it's a lot better with headphones. When Ann gets there, you can narrow down who law enforcement thinks the target was. There have been rumors one victim was wounded way more than the others. Sean, which one do you feel comfortable saying? I know it's just hearsay, you guys. I'm just curious because I know you hang out in the Reddit.
Where they reside, probably very bloodied, very disheveled, very tired. Somebody who is capable of this probably has lost their temper in the past. I think it's somebody that was at least in the community during this time frame, maybe because it's break right now, they're out of this community. But there are people that are going to be in and around their inner circle that probably would have seen signs of this person being capable of this.
And Brian, to Jennifer's point a little bit
Interesting.
too, police keep emphasizing over and over again that window of time, that 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. where they want to see surveillance video and images. And you and I were talking about this on the phone earlier, but what's really interesting to me is they keep saying it's super important for what we see in that video, but also what we don't see, what's missing from there. Maybe it's a break in a routine or a pattern or something like that will catch their attention.
So, like, even if you have video,
wow,
from
Sean, that is interesting.
that you don't think shows anything, what are they saying? It could still be useful.
Yeah, they're saying even if there's no movement in this video, even if you say to yourself, I don't see anything, they still want you to send it to them because they say what they don't see could actually be very telling of certain things they're looking at as well.
Okay, so they want people in the area to send in their video footage no matter what, even if there's nothing on it. And that does make sense, because think about it. If someone says, no, I went this way and did this, and then they have the video of that time and they don't see that happening, you know what I mean? That makes perfect sense. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. They have a lot of video footage and a lot of stuff to go through. Ah.
Interesting. I guess that makes sense, huh, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think it's different things like
This was not taken at 12:33 a.m. That it's daylight. Uh-oh, what did I do? Oh my gosh.
on individuals that they've cleared and they don't feel are risky from the woods, anything like that.
Sorry, you guys.
They might not even notice that in that ring video that comes up as a speck.
To me, is they keep saying it's super to 6 a.m. where they want to see surveillance video and images. And you and I were talking about this on the phone earlier, but what's really interesting to me is they keep saying it's super important for what we see in that video, but also what we don't see, what's missing from there. Maybe it's a break in a routine or a pattern or something like that that will catch their attention.
So, like, even if you have video from that time that you don't think shows anything, what are they saying? It could still be useful.
Yeah, they're saying even if there's no movement in this video.
Hey, Crumb Sleuthin. You too. Hey, DC Primetime.
Send it to them because they say what they don't see could actually be very telling of things they're looking at as well.
Interesting. I guess that makes sense, huh, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think it's different things like.
So I want to say something really quick about Tess, your comment. I've also seen a lot of rumors about Ethan's time of death, Ethan being the unconscious individual, Ethan dying shortly before police got there. And I know that is because his death certificate has noon as his time of death. To me, I think that's just because they don't have the exact time of death. And remember, the coroner is not a medical examiner. They didn't do like liver testing and all that to see the exact time of death, as far as I know. And I've seen many people complaining about that. The coroner is a registered nurse who has a degree in criminology and has been elected coroner. You know what I mean? So once that happens, then you have to take courses and you get certified, but still you are not a medical examiner. You're not a doctor. And I think that the time of death is because of that. And I do believe that's what's got those rumors going. But I hope that people will realize, I think that's only because, they don't have the exact time of death. Right. I know, Tess, that is crazy. Pronounced at noon. Right. I really am disappointed that you can have a murder like this take place and you don't have a legit medical examiner on the job. I understand a coroner being elected, and okay, if it's like your regular death or whatever, but something like this, I just think that it'd be really great to have somebody who's, went to school and stuff like that for it, but that's just my opinion. And also, yes, law enforcement is saying they're all home by 1:45. We know that that's not exactly true. Her sister was speaking up about that because they do feel that minutes matter, and I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about that.
Things that might be out of place that to somebody that just had a ring camera and doesn't see anything obvious, but to police, there might be something obvious in that video. Let me just give you an example, and this is just hypothetical. I'm not saying this occurred, but say the individual actually dropped something, something they ate, something, a glove, anything like that. They might not even notice that in that ring video that comes up as a speck, across the street, but then it becomes noticeable because remember, they didn't just show up. There has to be an egress point and a point that they entered this whole scene. And it has just boggles me that We don't have any camera footage yet, or at least that's not become public. So maybe they're holding that close to the vest.
I wonder too, with it being a small town, and we've heard the police say in some of the press conferences that stuff like this doesn't happen there, that people let their guards down because it's such a quiet town. Like I've found covering stories in the past, when you go to towns like that, they don't have all the video cameras everywhere.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I live in Miami, and like everybody has a Ring camera. If something happens, you're going to find video. But in some of these towns, that might not be the case.
I think that is a very legitimate point.
Y'all heard it here first. Dylan's boyfriend is whose car they were searching today in the case of the University of Idaho massacre, who is also likely the one who called 911 from Dylan's phone. Now, I like to tell you guys, Twitter and kind of researching together, everything we see, unless it comes from law enforcement, we have to take it with a grain of salt. We still store it, talk about it. It's still interesting, but remember, it's not necessarily the facts, and that's just the way it is.
Growing up in a small farm town myself, when I go back, everybody's door is still open. My parents don't lock their doors.
Me either, allegedly.
It's very trusting. They don't have a Ring camera. So I think you make a very, very valid point.
Yes,
that
Tess.
might be part of the reason.
I know
or
who
maybe
you're talking about.
They do have the video, and some video, and they just haven't told us. A lot of the comments are about the 911 call. Paige. So we know that there's a 911 call, but they'd adamantly not released it, right?
Right. We've got no 911 call. It's better off talking about what we actually know about the 911 call. So we haven't heard it yet. We don't have a transcript yet. We know that it came around just before noon on the 13th, and it came from a cell phone belonging to one of the surviving roommates. And police have over and over again not released the name of who made the 911 call. But most recently, in one of their more recent press conferences and then follow-up releases that they share after that, they said the call once again belonged to the roommate's phone. Multiple people talked to the dispatcher, but there were other people at the house on the time the 911 call was made. Police say the roommates called friends over because they thought that there were people passed out on the second floor and that they weren't waking up. So that kind of explains the call for the unconscious person. We know police arrived shortly after that to what they found.
So what do you make, Jennifer, of them? I mean, to me, it doesn't seem unusual that they're not releasing the call, because when we've covered other cases and it's like a really active investigation, they can hold that back from making public. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think it held it back very purposely. I think that it disclosed the people that were involved in making that call. I don't think they want their names out there. They don't want them contacted. They are key. They're going to be key in this case in terms of witnesses. Maybe obviously.
I would really love to hear the 911 call. It just doesn't make sense, right? It really doesn't. And yeah, I don't know. What beautiful kids. Look at them. My goodness. Yeah, just the unconscious person. I think that has raised so many red flags. Like anybody who hears that, you're like, what? You know what I mean? There's blood dripping outside the house. And okay, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Who said that for certain? Because I don't know that answer for certain. Hey, Tia. Good to see you, beautiful. Where did our thing go? There we go.
Obviously not to the crime, but to the aftermath of the crime. I think the reason that we're seeing unconscious person, which, if you walked into a situation like that, it would seemingly be quite a bloodbath and not just an unconscious person. And I don't know this to be true, but if their doors were locked and they were banging on those doors and getting no response or door, that could very possibly be why I've also seen a rumor, and I have not seen it substantiated, that someone looked in there and then walked out and collapsed, and that was the person they were reporting. I don't really think that makes much sense just to debunk that rumor, although I always say if there's some truth to that, please come forward and let us know the source of those remarks.
Well, a lot of the comments from people, and I get it. It's hard to visualize 4 people being stabbed, separately at different
Hey,
times,
Smiley.
assuming it's the same one killer, and and no one in the house waking up, or they're not being like screaming. But at the same time, I mean, if everybody's, I don't know if you've been drinking and you're like in a deep sleep or passed out, or I mean, who knows what the situation was like. But I get why people are saying it's just weird that that
What do
no
you
one would
guys
have heard
think?
anything or woken up.
I suppose that could be why we're told unconscious person, right? I guess if their doors were locked, but still, why do you assume they're unconscious? You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just don't know about that. I feel like you you would, especially if there was guys there like Dylan's boyfriend or any guys, which we're going way down speculation road there. Wouldn't you think they'd just like bust through the door? Or I don't know.
Well, for those that might even be on this spaces, and certainly for those in the public who have been viciously attacked, even if they were awake, if they were surprised, and I can speak from experience on this, it happens in milliseconds. They're on you, they're attacking you, and certainly somebody with a knife, one plunge to your lung area, to your larynx, and there's no screaming. It happens so quickly. There's really no chance for a response, especially with somebody who's possibly inebriated and sound asleep.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that is. Another big thing. I mean, and there's so little official information to even go on at this point, because there's not a lot that they've released. But in the beginning page, I guess since the beginning they've said this. I think they've been using the word targeted.
Yes, since the very beginning. So, this story came to be, and for those of you who follow the news closely, right around the time, exactly, the same day as those 3 University of Virginia football players were shot. So a lot of attention was on that story. We hear 4 people murdered, 4 students in Idaho.
Well, damn it, I was muted. Okay. So I saw that Xana's mom was arrested. And I was, saying to myself, why is this even relevant? Because, this woman just lost her daughter. Do we want to beat her over the head and, pick apart her drug charges? But Muffy, that would be the only absolute. I mean, I guess it is relevant, and could Xana have been a target due to that? Possibly. It's not uncommon for people to target the loved ones of an addict who may owe money to that person. But I don't know. Like, to me, I don't want to go too far into her mom's charges other than saying, like you said, there could be some kind of connection there. However, I don't, she just lost her mom, and or her daughter, or the mom just lost her daughter, and I don't know. I don't know, good grandma. I'm really not sure, but that is something to look into. Hey, Yanni. Sentence was 5 days after what happened. Arrested before. Okay. Interesting. See, I don't know anything about it. because like I said, my initial like reaction was I don't want to even go there. So I would really have to educate myself a little more to tell you guys. Nikki, yes, exactly. I can understand. So it's, you can understand like, so one person being attacked, but if there's two people in a bed together, wouldn't one of them wake up? I don't know. I have a friend who got stabbed when someone was trying to find her ex-husband for money. See? Oh my God, that's crazy. Allegedly, I missed your comment, but I know people are apologizing. My best friend dropped on my front lawn. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Oh, police say it's targeted. They tell the public, you're not in danger. This is a targeted attack. We're investigating. And it is only until a couple days later when they have this pretty bombshell press conference where they say, hey, actually, you know, we do think that the public should be on alert. There could be some cause for
Right.
concern. Now
They kind of walked it back.
They kind of walked it back
yeah.
a little bit. Yeah. And so they have maintained the entire time that it is targeted. Most recently, Wednesday, the chief, when we followed up on that, exactly why, they point to evidence. They won't say what that is, and then they say you're just going to have to trust us at this point in the game.
But how much of that do you think is them having to balance out keeping people calm? You have a university in your town, school's supposed to be back in session. I mean, you can't have the whole world or the whole town in a panic.
Yeah,
I mean, they want to be honest, but at the same time, like, you know,
Yeah, we've talked to parents who are like,
we've talked to parents who are like, I called my kid up and I said, you're coming home for Thanksgiving early.
Okay, so just to educate ourselves, so I'm not like passing, so we know kind of a little bit what we're talking about. Let me see. Even though, like I said, I don't know how relevant it is, and I don't want to beat her mom over the head for something like this, you know, too much. So, but still, just so that we have the accurate information, I think it's worth looking at. So Mesa, Arizona. Arizona made 2 major drug busts in a single day earlier this month. November 9th, the Street Crime Unit made 2 huge drug busts, seizing fentanyl pills, methamphetamine, heroin, and cocaine. Let's see. So she has a lot of charges of possession of controlled substance. Wow. So I come here for the notorious autistic sleuthing, but am disappointed so far. Xana's mother, not sister, was arrested on November 19th for drug charges. It's her 10th or so drug arrest over the last 17 years. More interestingly, though, is that she was arrested for heroin trafficking and meth possession in 2021. Her bond was set at $50,000 with a court date on November 10th, 2022, 3 days before the killings. She didn't show up to that court date, likely putting the bail bond in default. Who paid the likely $5,000 fee plus likely collateral to get her bailed out of jail? And how pissed were they when she didn't show up to court? Wow.
I mean, this is the first murder in this town in I think they said 7 years. It's pretty much spooked everybody there. So I think you're right. It's something delicate to balance.
Yeah, and there's been a couple of parents that DM'd me and said that they weren't going to let their kids go back to school because school starts again on Monday. The university put out a statement saying that they will make it an option for every class, whether you want to go back in person or you can continue online if you don't feel safe. And I saw there were even some professors that have said, I'm not even offering in-person option right now. I don't think it's appropriate given that there's, you know, a killer on the run. Jennifer, what do you make of this whole? A lot of it seems like semantics, but the fact that they're using the word targeted.
I believe that police believe truly was targeted. In other words, there was an individual, and I think it's just one specifically targeted.
Thank you. Oh my God, I cannot get it to stop.
That there is a balance.
Thank you. That is so sweet. You know what? I think that's actually the first time memberships were gifted here. And that is so cool and so sweet. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. I wonder why you can't see it on StreamYard. That's just ridiculous. I mean, that's just annoying. YouTube, get it together. I know it's StreamYard, but with the money that YouTube makes from these streams, they do make a lot of money. They should take care of the people that, you know, the platform. That was cool. Thank you. That's really sweet.
So you don't have panic on your hands. But I think they have strong evidence because they have not wavered from that. And my belief is I mean, I hate to even say it, but I'm just speaking from other circumstances, going to be possible real mission adaptation of the compares that were.
Wow. I'm going to rewind that just a tiny, tiny bit. So basically this is why Jennifer, here's an educated opinion on why they keep saying it was targeted. Possibly one person was way more injured, which we were just saying in here earlier.
That there is balancing, but I think.
Oh, thank you, Crash and Burn.
Strong because they wavered from that, and I hate to even say it. I'm just being others. I think it's going to be a possible real mutilation, decapitation of the individual that was targeted.
Wow, Sean.
Compared to others that were really just in their way, and that they got through to get to their true target. I'm so sorry to mention things like that on here, but I just think that that's what we're looking.
Did we go robotic for a minute? Hey, Tammy. Of course it is. Maybe better now because the internet just went better, but I don't know. We are in North Carolina. It's kind of, you never know here. I've seen that, Thomas. Tell me if it's still doing that. I'll connect it to a hotspot if I have to.
Looking at.
Well, and it's interesting on the press releases that they send out are very detailed, but there's not a lot of new information. But I mean, they're very, again, so whoever is in charge of their press kind of knows what they're doing in the way that they're putting together. And they even have a section that says rumor control. So every time they put out a release, there's a whole little part that says rumor control, and they address some of the rumors. And I'm trying to find it now. Online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. Okay, so it didn't say anything about mutilation not being accurate. They were just very clear about the tied and gagged, because that became a rumor at one point. They say the tied and gagged is not accurate.
I do appreciate them clearing up rumors.
Just the start of a number of series of rumors here. I'm going to read some of them off. In addition, Brian, the report of a dog that was skinned a few months back, just about 3 miles from the home. police say they've ruled that out. That's not connected. You guys may have heard it was brought up in the most recent press conference, a 2021 double stabbing in Salem, Oregon.
Maybe
Showed some
someone in
similarities.
chat
They say
can tell
that's
you,
not
Danny. I'm not
their evidence
sure.
and suggest that's connected. Nor 1999 Pullman, Washington stabbing. They say that's not connected. The one interesting one, they haven't gone as far as completely blocked it out, but the idea of one of the victims, Kaylee, having a stalker, they say they've heard a lot about that, brought up in terms of tips, but no evidence yet. But they said that doesn't mean they're going to stop looking at that idea.
And just when I put on my reporter hat for these kinds of stories, like in my mind, I'm always trying to think about what the police are thinking behind the scenes. Like there's reasons that they release certain things and reasons they don't. Just like when we're reporting, there are
Wait, listen to
times
this.
where, like, if we might find out something and find out the police, and that hasn't happened in this case, obviously, but other times it has, where we found out something and that the police are really close to solving something, and they will ask us to hold back that information.
Okay, now remember, we had a conversation recently about the media and what they put out and all that. So you heard it here first and clear that they will hold stuff back if it will mess up an investigation. YouTubers don't do that. The police and the local news have a relationship where they're talking a lot, and they will and also they say something like what happened with Michael Vaughn and the woman being arrested for not reporting his death and that coming out. A local reporter, that would have happened very differently. You know what I mean? Because they would be talking and they would, agree to wait. It's ethically, I wish that we gotta do the same. Now, I want to take just a second off of that. We're going to finish listening to their little interview, but I also agree with this little clip and I want to watch it. It does seem like Hoodie Guy is looking at the camera. Watch. Hoodie Guy is staring hard at the camera for several seconds before he appears to bring the camera to the bearded guy's attention. I wonder what was being said and why he even cared or noticed the camera. I also thought he was watching the camera. Yep, bearded guy looks over there. Wow. Huh. That is kind of interesting, you guys. Okay, I'm going to keep letting it play while I'm scrolling and looking for stuff for us to talk about, too.
Give us 24 hours. You'll totally compromise the investigation if you report this now. And usually if they're that close, we don't want to compromise the investigation, so we won't report it, But anyway, what I'm thinking about is, like, with the rumor control and with the choice of what they're releasing and not releasing,
Jack D.
It's just interesting to think about how much they might know, and not that they would be trying to mislead us or the public, but their main mission is not keeping us informed right now. Their main mission is finding the killer. So
Me too, Dave.
There could just be a lot going on behind the scenes, and we know from covering this and talking to investigators after the fact with other cases that oftentimes the media people are not kept in the loop with the sensitive information. A lot of times the detectives talking to the family members are not kept in the loop with sensitive information, again, as a way to sort of protect the core of the investigation. So I don't know, like, everything I read, I'm trying to think about what could actually be going on.
Yeah, and then going back to kind of what they've been transparent about from the beginning is the murder weapon, right? It started as like a sharp-edged object, and very quickly they said, we're looking for a knife. We're not looking for any sort of knife. We're looking for a big knife, a fixed blade knife. We've been reaching out to all these stores in the area that might sell them. Jennifer, this is more for you, but we spoke with Tracy Walder. She's a former FBI agent and CIA friend of News Nation on the show earlier this week. She said she's not that concerned about the weapons, about finding weapons. She says there's a lot more valuable stuff out there. I'm curious your take.
I disagree with her. That weapon is so important. As I said, I think previously, making other comments, if they find that weapon, they are going to find so much information on that weapon. They're going to be able to trace back the location where that weapon was found and go backwards to find the individual that may have used it. I think it's a crucial piece of the evidence. It's also once they figure out a subject, that's going to help link that subject. It is very difficult to make cases often when we don't have the murder weapon, whether that's a gun.
Interesting. Okay, hold up. We got to look at this. These are neighbors, okay? Because I do think it's good to pay attention to anybody speaking out. Oh, welcome, Maurice. Thank you. To pay attention to anybody speaking out or like being like trying to come and find out what's going on, because it does oftentimes happen that the person who committed the crime will hang around really close. They want to know what's going on. I thought so, Tess. Yep. So let's watch that for a second, and then we'll go back to our little interview. But it's him, right? Well, he's in both of them. Let's see.
You wake up in that morning, on Sunday, and you just go to work, and you don't really think anything of it. I was at work, and the only thing I heard about was like the unconscious person, and then I didn't realize it had more severity to it. I got home and I could hear the clicking.
I heard crime sleuthing.
The cameras.
It's a really small town feel, lots of hills, but
Oh, thank you, Snazzy. That is the sweetest thing ever.
Seems like a really close
Thank
community.
you.
All of my professors and stuff that are from here, seems like they've been here for a decade or longer, and seem to know just about everybody. So I would say it's a fairly small community.
This is the guy that wore the hand things, right? And isn't he also very into hunting? It's like taking a second to load. Snazzy, I hope that you heard me. That is one of the sweetest things ever. So I really, really appreciate that. You'll see them coming up in a second. Okay. Whoa. That's crazy.
Even though there's roughly 20 to 25,000 people here. The officer that came by door to door, he asked if we had any sort of surveillance or if we knew about any other cameras or anything in the area. Sadly, this is an apartment building, and assuming it's relatively old, so there was nothing. Luckily, the apartment sent out an email a couple days ago saying they're adding new lights, which there's a new light up there. They're going to work installing cameras just so that if anything like this were to happen again, there's a better chance of getting footage of who did it.
It's just nerve-wracking, mostly, and stressful because she's always
alone. Oh my. Okay, thanks for giving us all the trouble loading. Wow, you guys.
Because I work in the evenings and stuff. Just surreal. Almost like something out of a TV show.
Look, people are screenshotting his glove.
No, I went to bed early that night, and then I woke up to...
He went to bed early that night.
I went to bed early that night, and then I woke up to...
Whoa, you guys.
A bunch of normal, and then...
Look at the look in his eyes. Now, maybe I'm just crazy, but he just gave me like the Dexter vibe. Like, you know what I mean? Alex, that interview with that guy reminds me of the interview with the weird law student guy that stalked and killed his neighbor. They were both law students. I remember that, and he helped join the search, right? Like, I think I've seen that on like an ID show. Yeah, Snazzy, I agree. And a lot of people, and it's cold there. So you have to remember it's cold there. But look at the look in his eyes. He's a law student as well. Oh, Dexter, show me again. Like, he just got like like an excited look for a second. Okay, watch. I'm gonna rewind it just in the first, like as he's saying that he went to sleep early and stuff. His like for a split second. Okay.
No, I went to bed early that night, and then I woke up to
See, like his eyes. I don't
a bunch of
know.
normal, and then a couple hours later, we got a message, and there was a bunch of police.
Like you know how you look like you see Dexter, and like in certain moments you just know that he's like loves to kill, and he's just like crazy as hell. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just like totally reaching here, and I'm putting things together that aren't there. So ignore me. I'm crazy.
Here, and then that was the end of normalcy for the past week or so here. So the day that the police were called here, about an hour or two after that, an officer came by.
Ooh, that'd be really
door to door
fun.
along here,
I agree.
asking if anybody had seen or heard anything. That's the only contact I've had with officers so far.
And then I had left for work like
Yes, allegedly.
11:45, and I never saw or heard anything. The night before, I was up till like 2 and never heard anything at all.
Yes, he is.
Anything out of the
Dexter
ordinary.
Morgan is.
It's just
I love
been
Dexter.
just how quiet.
No, I didn't, Lynn.
Because we're used to having like some sort of music, hearing music when
They
we come
always
home
had
from
little
work.
gatherings, so they always had music going. So for us, we never.
I did not see it. Thank you, Riddler, so much, and Lynn, thank you for telling me because I hate to miss something like that. So thank you. I really appreciate that. There's definitely something in Dexter's eyes, but I don't know if I caught it with him. Well, computer, so it's a little bit bigger. He does it just like he has like I don't know, a weird look in his eyes. Maybe I'm wrong. This guy creeps me out more. Weird, you guys. Okay.
Never assumed anything different.
Yeah.
Because they're so
They
used to.
housed it.
Yeah,
Did
they
you
always
say it's a party house?
Thanks
Not
again,
necessarily.
Riddler. You guys are
Like,
too
they
good
had, like,
to me.
Small gatherings, maybe like 10 people or so. And it
Lori,
never really got
watch
crazy other than like the usual college student stuff. But they were actually pretty respectful, considering.
The house, occasionally there were parties that were kind of loud. Most of the time it was pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I was taking,
I know,
David.
David, I
To go
know.
to the bathroom, I would just be walking by. I would look up and I would see people in the windows almost every night, probably 4 or 5 nights a week. So there were a lot of people that went into and out of that house pretty frequently. So yeah, it was kind of a party house. But again, this whole neighborhood is sort of like a party neighborhood because it's just off campus. So you sort of don't have to follow the university rules. I hope whoever did it gets found, because 4 people is not something that you just
Oh my God.
walk away from and act all normal. And so whether or not the cops think there's a danger, walk away from and act all normal. 4 people is not something that university rules. I hope whoever did it gets found, because 4 people is not something that you just walk away from and act all normal. And so whether or not the cops think there's a danger, I disagree. I think there is a danger, because 4 people shows that person's dangerous. So
I don't want to judge anybody too much over an interview. I've seen so many people be wrongly accused over that kind of stuff, but
Where in
really
this case
interesting.
is a fixed blade knife. I also think
back to
the
our
knife
interview or our
is going
podcast
to
thing.
help solve the crime from the standpoint of the individual who committed this crime. I believe is comfortable with knives. I believe they chose that knife as their weapon.
No, David, I get what you're saying, and I totally do agree. I was just saying, I mean, I don't think we can make any judgments really off of his interview. I mean, you might get a little feeling in your gut or whatever, but, and you know, that's nothing. So, but, he does do, the actor who plays Dexter does a very good job at portraying somebody who is psychopath and what you would imagine that they would look like. But obviously, yes, it's a Showtime drama series. So
Weapon for a reason. It's very personal. It's the way the knife just enters the body, what's involved after, is all very vicious. And I think that is going to help find the killer.
It's so brutal. I mean, I don't want to get, too gross and graphic, but you're right. I mean, it's I think that's why this case is so disturbing to so many people, and why parents are afraid to send their kids back on Monday, and all of that is because, I mean, it's not just one young person stabbed, but to think about the fact that 4 people, and that this person, assuming it's one person, had to go through the house and do that. Something else that I wanted to ask.
Ooh, this is new 7 hours ago. Idaho's crime lab is prioritizing testing in the Idaho 4 murders, and police say the possibility of unrelated DNA found in the party house crime scene is a hurdle they will overcome. Some results have come back already. Wow, that is super interesting. Have you guys seen that yet? Hey, Amber. Yeah, Ted Bundy was a law student. Oh my gosh, ain't that the truth, Snazzy Trinks? Mm-mm. Unique Trauma. I've always loved that show. He's so, yeah, you watch more than once. There have been I've seen a few cases where people have tried to recreate what Dexter did, even with like lining the plastic everywhere and all that stuff. But if you're into true crime and you've never watched it, definitely check it out. It is not true crime, but it's really very interesting. Parker, I was just thinking about you. I seen you had that open panel you were doing. I don't know if you did it, but because I was moving that day, like I had to drive like 6 hours without stops. It ends up being like 8 hours. But the Casey Anthony is happening soon. We got like 3 days. Over Watts, over Gacy, over Allen. Okay, let's keep listening.
Ask you about, Jennifer, is a lot of people are asking, why is there not a reward? Like, why are they not announcing some kind of big reward? They announced that the governor in Idaho was giving $1 million additional dollars to help with the investigation, but does it mean anything that they're not offering a reward? Like, could that mean that they know who it is?
I don't believe they know who it is. I say that because if they did know, I think that they would want to let the public know, because of all the concern and, the way this is going with people believing the police aren't doing, a good enough job here.
It is crazy. The police have been so open, though. I want to switch over just for a quick second to this article because it is from today, from around lunchtime today. And I want to check this out with you guys. Could you hear the sound on that? The bad boys, bad boys. Because when you switch tabs, I don't know if you can hear the sound. Let me know. Here, let me just play it for a second.
Retired FBI criminal profiler and forensic linguist who worked on high-profile cases, including finding the Unabomber. He's also the author of...
Can you guys hear that?
To the Center.
Awesome.
James, we couldn't have a better, more experienced guest for this story, this very tragic story. What are your instincts telling you?
Ooh, let's hear what he
about
says.
this case?
My instincts are telling me that after almost 2 weeks of this investigation being undertaken by the police, the victimology so far, that is the backgrounds of the individual victims, Madison, Ethan, Kaylee, and Xana, have not brought about any fruitful investigative leads for them. And that's bothersome because automatically we're thinking of an ex-boyfriend or someone that maybe Ethan had a fight with or something like that. But apparently that inner circle has been resolved. No further investigations are involving that. So now the police investigators have to go into the outer perimeter of this investigation. Look at pizza delivery people. Look at Uber drivers, things like that. So, but that's only if it's a personal connection to this crime. I'm leaning in that direction at this point, but boy, after 2 weeks, you think some lead would have come up. I'm not.
So he is, let's see, retired FBI criminal profiler James Fitzgerald.
ruling out the incel factor, that is involuntary celibacy, and that is kind of a subculture within our country of mostly younger men who feel they're not dating the kind of women they would like to date. And while most of them, the vast majority, are not violent, some do have violent ideation, and they do want to carry out threats and actually take actions against.
I've seen a lot of people with that theory that it was someone who was rejected, and I'm guessing that's because the girls are so beautiful. I don't know.
People. Is it possible they saw the young woman here as Stacy's? That's the nickname for attractive women, or the young man Ethan as a Chad. That's something that I know the profilers and behaviorists are looking into, all the online footprints of those type people. Or could it be a sexual sadist who travels the country and does some of these things elsewhere, including the one in Oregon that we talked about? These are some of the factors that the investigators right now, Rachel, are looking at.
So what is the profile for somebody who kills in this manner?
Just a little pause for fair use. Will say here, I want to do a live on Real Talk with Alex. It does kind of cross over into true crime, but it's a celebrity thing, and I don't want to mix it up too much with it. But there are some pretty big trafficking allegations against Blac Chyna, and there's some crazy evidence to go along with it. And then I thought we could do like a series on Kim Kardashian and, you know, how she's influenced women of our generation, how things have changed with social media, with, you know, how women look at their bodies, with how her body and her looks have changed. Yet, you know, we always hear that, you know, she's never had plastic surgery. And I just want to talk about that stuff. But the trafficking, oh my God, you guys, if you are not subscribed over there, make sure you are, or if you don't want to, go do the research yourself. That is some really interesting stuff. There is some video footage of her not letting women leave, and kind of it's pretty crazy. But okay, let's keep listening.
Well, I'm certainly leaning towards an adult male. It takes a lot, you know, shooting someone with a gun thing, you pull a trigger and that it's basically over and done with. But a knife wounding with a knife or killing with a knife is a whole different set of physical and emotional reactions. And times that by 4, as we have in this case. And
DC prime time.
Offender. People for years would say, well, Zodiac and Unabomber are the same people. No, Unabomber was a long distance killer with the bombs. Zodiac was up close and personal with knives and some weapons. 2 different people. So this person, this offender, has a violent ideation about him. And although the crime itself is not that sophisticated, the 4 corners of the crime itself, let's face it, he used one of the oldest weapons available after a rock and a club that is a sharp or slashing type of instrument. But now, but how he got into the scene, how he perhaps pre-offense behavior was, how he explored perhaps the interior of the apartment, or had schematics about it, or actually was in there other times. And of course, the post-offense behavior, getting away with this crime. He apparently left no fingerprints behind, no blood on.
Okay, Lynn.
And
that sounds awesome.
And there's some sophistication before and after the crime.
Agree, Missy Q.
The crime itself lacks some of that therein.
Wow, Jane Fitzgerald, so much to think about in this very troubling and disturbing crime. Thanks for joining us and giving us your experience. You have a lot of experience in this, and it's been very insightful. Thank you.
So before we go, before we go back to the Twitter thing, I wanted to look and see. They said that Idaho State Police is doing much of the forensics in the case, which is a priority for them. Idaho State Police Public Information Officer Aaron Snell told Fox News in a Friday interview, there have been scientists working 7 in the lab to try to get back some of those results in quick order. So while there's other cases going on, this case is a priority, and we're starting to get back some results. Exactly how long it will take authorities to determine whether DNA did not belong to any of the victims was left at the scene of the crime. Results will go to the detectives when they become available. So they're already getting some of the DNA tests back. Now, I do know that I heard that 23andMe was there, which is not uncommon. I've seen in other cases some of these DNA places because they have DNA that is not in the police database. So sometimes police will reach out to them to see if they have any matches. It says the evidence will help create a full picture of the crime scene and what exactly unfolded. Some of the victims had defensive wounds. We know that. No signs of forced entry. And I think that's kind of that. We are going to be patient. We're going to be thorough. And we also ask that the community recognize that there are some aspects of this investigation that will take us a little bit longer. But we're going to continue to work through, Snell said. So this was just yesterday. They've received and analyzed more than 1,000 tips. Wow. Now that's kind of crazy.
Here it is.
Back to Jennifer and Brian, and I'll come back to the comments.
Reward situation is interesting. Of course, getting $1 million, they're not concerned about that. Plus, all the individuals that are contributing in terms of these other law enforcement agencies. But of course, where reward comes in very importantly in these cases is sometimes
I love you,
people
Nadie.
come forward
Are you
with a
leaving?
reward. So I am surprised.
Love you so much.
I don't know why nobody's taking the lead on that to offer or to collect and to offer a very substantial reward. I find it surprising, but I think it's going to change. I think we'll see a reward in the future.
I've wondered too.
I just hope it doesn't. I mean, obviously, like everyone.
I've also wondered why there's no reward. Can you imagine, though, the DNA? If that's a party house, how many people's DNA will be there that is not relevant?
I hope that there's not a huge future in terms of it remaining unsolved. I mean, because you know how it is that the longer it goes on, they always say like the first 48 hours is the most important, and now, you know, we're almost 2 weeks out. Like I would hate to be covering this in a year and, you know, still having these conversations.
And you feel for the families, right? Who are obviously trying to process something unimaginable, but then not having the full picture as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, I've seen some frustration from them in some interviews that they've done about, you know, a lack of information and that kind of thing. But it's just, again, it seems like it's such a fine line. You know, a tightrope almost like the police are on, because it seems like they don't even tell the families what they know at a phase like this, right, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think
I don't believe they do tell the families everything, which is interesting. I just want, since we're talking about all this profiling, here's a profile by Michelle After Dark, actually. Oh, yes, guidance. A ton of cross-contamination. Okay. Possible profile. Male, not known. Wait, known but not inner circle. Let's see. You can't even see the whole picture. Local. Killed before but not serial killer. Military training or ex-military. Criminal profile, possible record, used to blood, knife skills, hypermasculine, misogyny, loner, not necessarily living alone, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and lone wolf. That's interesting. I wonder why. See, I don't tend to think this person is so trained in killing, like military or anything like that, because it was so messy, you know. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Jennifer could probably speak more to that as well, but it's kind of this line you're trying to balance of we're all thinking about like finding out who did this and finding answers, but law enforcement is thinking about building and executing and prosecuting a case.
Yeah, and the prosecution piece of this is huge, and they're protecting that from stage one moving forward. I mean, to release any particular details about that crime scene or exactly what happened can completely whitewash once they actually
Ooh,
get a
guidance.
subject.
Interesting.
And are
Can you
building
guys share guidance's channel for me for a second?
from that.
I'm
So
gonna
they
go
just
run
can't. It was just
inside and I'm gonna go grab my gummies. So I'm gonna let this play. I'll be right back. Like 1 minute.
totally upend the integrity of this case for them to release a lot of details.
And I feel for the families and friends too, because when something like this happens, and again, from having covered other stories, you know, as amazing as the internet sleuths are, it's at the same time like people dig up information on everyone, and a lot of, you know, most of the people aren't involved at all, and then you come up with theories, and yeah, I just feel for the people that get, you know, kind of squashed in the middle of this that had nothing to do with it, and suddenly, you know, they become suspects in the eyes of people on the internet. It's just, you know, I don't know, that always makes me feel bad too.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jack D, you know, we have 3 Jacks, but if you look at Jack D, the ex-boyfriend, he was being completely maligned on all social media forums. And I know I sent out 2 tweets just hoping people would get the word out. He is not the subject, and and in fact been cleared. And law enforcement said that very early on, you know, within days, one of their early on press conferences. And it's so interesting because it only takes a few people to get that and to breed that. And
Right.
it just, and I feel terrible for the poor kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time, though, I mean, a lot of people are DMing me, and usually I'll just tell people to send it to the police too. But you know,
I don't know why
it's the internet
doing
sleuths
that.
that take the time to go
Hey, that
back
Ellen.
through old posts and find.
Come on, internet.
People
Don't
who
be
liked
ridiculous.
those posts, and then go look at those people and see, oh, this person like has bloody photos from, you know, a crazy movie, and then it like I don't know that there's enough people within the police department to be doing that 24/7, and a lot of times those little pieces of information actually do help.
Okay, so
What do you think about in the Gabby Petito case?
let me tell you guys what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the link to this so you all can finish if you want to finish listening. I want to talk for just a second about this comment on the screen, and then any comments you guys have, and then I'm going to let you guys go. So here is the link to the rest of this if you guys do want to hear the rest. Hey, Kimberly. So fraternities move drugs. I know that. Now, this is something that I have not seen a lot. But if you actually look at some of the students that live there, they say that, you know, they're not hearing it mentioned, but there is a lot of drugs that go through the fraternities and the sororities, you know? So I think that's really interesting. Now, I'm sure that's probably not the heart of this situation, but it's still something to keep note. And yes, ladies, please protect yourselves. Make sure, you know, at home and when you're out, make sure that you have a way to defend yourself and you have a plan if there's an intruder or something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Jack D should do an interview with the news. Well, your name is Jack D, so that is just so strange, right, Jack? Stabbings are usually personal. You think either close in age or way older. Ooh, someone says this has nothing to do with drugs. Neighbor is the killer. very possible. I know that psychic Reverend Donna did that reading, and she also says that it is a neighbor. Now, I know she's just a psychic, but if you look at her record, she's accurately predicted how other crimes would be solved, and where victims would be, and who was who was the culprit, and that kind of thing, long before police ever went and found out the exact information that she gave. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but she actually, in Kylie Ryan and JJ Vallow were two kids that were killed by their mom and her brother and her husband. And Tylee was actually dismembered and burned. And JJ was wrapped in plastic in his pajamas and buried, under a tree. Tylee was treated like they were discarded very differently. And she predicted that months before they were ever even found. She literally, even down to the fact that Tylee was burned as well. So, I mean, Lynn dropped her link. If you guys want, she did do a reading on this case. So go check it out. I've seen a lot of people have watched it. I actually saw today that it has 100,000 views. That's true, Riddler. Rawlings, Bundy, and BTK used knives and nothing personal. I know, Maurice, and I think people have made some connections. I'm not going to put that out there because I don't know for certain, and I get scared. I've seen so many people accuse based on interviews and different things like that and be dead wrong. So I just don't want to do that. I want to be really careful about that. And I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Lips. I went back and watched the full food truck video, and there was someone on the video who looked just like the neighbor. He even left as the girls were ordering from the truck. Wow. Aw, hey, Woofy. I love you. Psychologist Dr. John Mathias gave his analysis on hidden true crime. Some really good questions were asked. You have to check it out. So is that a channel, Hidden True Crime? I definitely will check it out. Woofy, you should screenshot that. Oh, I know she said it, Maurice. I mean, there are people who have found restaurants and found people who could, be who she's talking about. Whoever it is out of the state by now. It's possible. I don't know. I just don't understand. How do you do something like this and you don't walk away different? The people in your lives, right? If it, let's just say, for instance, it's this 25-year-old man, or it could be someone older, but let's just say it's someone close to their age or a little bit older. Their family, their mom, dad, grandparents, their brothers, sisters, if they have it. How do people around them not see something has happened? I don't know how I think you would definitely pick up on that. And that was something that was said by Jennifer and Brian. Jennifer said, the people around them surely would notice something. Thank you, allegedly. That's sweet, sweet, sweet. You haven't guidance? Oh, you got to watch it, girl. He must have known the layout of the house. Now, what about this? This is a theory I've heard that I could get in line with. What if he's looking for, say, Maddie, but he doesn't know where she stays? So he goes in the house, and the first bedroom he comes across from coming through the kitchen is Xana and Ethan. Then he goes upstairs. He finds Kaylee, for instance. Then he comes to Maddie. He gets who he was looking for, so he doesn't continue going bedroom to bedroom. And that's why the two people survived. To me, that could make perfect sense. Hey, Turquoise. No, they don't, Patty. Very true. Still not convinced Richard Allen is the bridge guy. Wow, really? I just can't believe they're saying there's another person involved. There could be more people involved. I kept hearing that theory, and I'm just I'm always super skeptical. I'm yeah, right, whatever. No. Ooh, Cassie, that's possible. They're handyman, landlord. Making claims or accusations can ruin an innocent person's life forever. We have to be very careful to protect all that are possibly innocent. This is why law enforcement has to be so very careful. Yes, absolutely. And just like Brian Entin was talking about in this Twitter thing, sometimes they do have information that law enforcement hasn't broke, so they'll hold it back. There are certain things that they do to remain like semi as ethically responsible as the news gets, right? But YouTubers are not doing those things. We are notifying YouTube of a child's death before we know that the police have notified the family and those kind of things. I just think that we have to do better. There are so many channels. There's so many people. It's not even the channels. It's more like there's a lot of viewers that have came to true crime that maybe are not used to it based on like one particular case. And it's easy to get one over on them. You know what I mean? So I think we have to be really, really careful. This is serious stuff. That's misbehaving, and they could be a loner. But this is really serious. An accusation could ruin someone's life. And we're talking about young people here, you know? It's possible, Gregory. I agree with you. Like they were laying there together. Hey, turkey recently. Huh, that's crazy. Hey, Phil. Thank you. That's really sweet. I love to hear from you guys that are new. That makes sense to me, but I've also heard that Xana had a lot more injuries and was probably the last victim. So in my mind, I can't rule out that she was the target. Well, you know what, Smokey? I heard today the same exact thing about Ethan. So I don't know. Oh, wow. That's cool. Danny, that's really cool. I think a lot about the Manson family, Miss Tate LaBianca, King killings. Police thought Sharon Tate was the target because it was her home and her injuries seemed so much more personal. Now, in that case, was there also blood coming through the wall? Oh, wow, allegedly. I'm sorry. I'm not sure, Lisa, to be honest with you. I don't know. I do know that she was moving, but Lori says, I feel it was a guy who wasn't part of Click. Was turned down from one of the girls, stalked, been at the house, knew the layout, killed each until the girl he wanted was killed and then left, in my opinion. I do love to hear from you guys and hear your opinions. Take a look at the food truck now, and you will see the similarities to the neighbor. I nearly shit my pants when I seen it. I definitely will. I'm going to rewatch that later, I think. In my honest opinion, he has a reason in his deranged mind. This is overkill. I truly believe he knew these innocent people and waited till he knew they were asleep, lurking in the woods, biding his time. I believe he was in the woods as well, or he left in the woods. To me, though, you guys, I just don't know how you don't leave a trail, you know, and I was careful not to. But that's part of the reason I always was like, wait, what if they cleaned up? Because how do you leave after something like that and not get caught on somebody's camera? I mean, everybody has doorbell cameras these guys. You know, in a neighborhood, you're bound to find one or two people. I mean, even back to Chris Watts. That's how some of the reason he got caught. We have Letitia Stalk, and that's some of the reason she got caught. And I don't know. Lauren's also the professional. Oh, Danny, I didn't know that. That's super cool. We are not accusing anyone. We're just sifting through all of our minds together. This keeps us all a little sane with the lack of information we are given by law enforcement. I agree with you, Maurice. I do. I don't think we're doing anything wrong. Even watching that neighbor. I mean, I just want to say that because I do think he's suspicious, and I've been really vocal with you guys, but I don't want you to ever hear what I'm saying and be like, Oh, well, I don't know. I just don't want to be the cause of like hurting somebody who's innocent. So, Lori, I think I heard that too, but am I mixing cases together? I don't know. Yeah, Phil, I know. Super weird. And his hands are covered. I know. I've got to know more about that guy. He's Woofy, if you're here still, did you? Oh my God, I need help looking at this guy that did the interview. And I don't know how to find him, but it's possible, Canadian Cookie. Or could he have taken his shoes off maybe, like at the door, and then put them back on? Ooh, I didn't know that's even a thing, Sophie. Cameras on the dog collar? Oh, okay, Woofy. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. I could sit here and read comments and talk to you forever, but we've been on here for quite a while, and we can't listen to the rest of this because of shitty service. Let me drop the link one more time. Because if you haven't heard this full interview, ooh, okay, MCM, awesome, thank you. If you haven't heard that full interview with Brian Entin and Jennifer Coffindaffer and you want to listen to the rest, it is very good. And yeah, she's super educated. I just love her. I love her. Anything she does. Thank you to my mods. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to the new members and for the super chats and everything you guys do. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I really do. I hope you guys have a great night. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.